Hi, everybody. Welcome inside Gallagher-Iba. Dave Fleming alongside Jimmy Dykes for another big Big 12 contest for different reasons for these two clubs. This league is just so tough. Oklahoma State has 3 conference losses. They're a top 10 team.
Regardless of what you hear across the country, the Big 12 is the strongest conference in college basketball right now. My eyes tell me that. The numbers back it up. The only conference in the country with 4 teams in the top 16 RPI, 7 in the top 55. Baylor rolls in here with top 25 talent, but they haven't put it all together. They have to have a desperate effort today for Baylor. This could be the moment they turn their season around.
And for Oklahoma State, we focus so much on Marcus Smart, but Jimmy, this is a team that has a lot of talent around him.
Absolutely, and Marcus Smart has to make sure that he trusts that talent. And he's got terrific players around him. Brown has not shot the ball well recently. Smart and Brown both are below 30% from the three-point line in conference play. Nash is a beast inside right now. Forte, one of the quickest shots in all of college ball, but it's up to Marcus Smart to make sure he utilizes his weapons.
And you mentioned desperation. Will Baylor 1-6 in conference play with it? That takes us to our one-on-one.
Well, we're going to find out about Baylor. What's wrong with Baylor? When I break it down to its core, in a nutshell, this is it. In Big 12 play, they have taken more three-point shots than free throw attempts. That is not the formula for how you win hard-fought games in conference play, especially road games. Will that number change today? If it does for Scott Drew and his guys and they pound the ball inside, and when the rock gets around the rim, Baylor's got a chance.
Starting lineups brought to you by Michelin. We'll begin with Scott Drew's Baylor Bears. Baylor 13-7, 1-6 in conference play, and a big story, no Kenny Cherry. Their point guarder has started every game. He is hurt, he is out, so it's Franklin, Heslip, O'Neal, Jefferson, and Isaiah Austin. On the other side for the 8th-ranked Cowboys of Oklahoma State, Marcus Smart, Markel Brown, Brian Williams, LeBrian Nash, and Kamari Murphy. So here we go. Oklahoma State, tough loss on Monday against the Sooners, trying to bounce back, and they will have the first possession of the game.
Dave, you mentioned no Kenny Cherry today for Baylor. How does that affect this ball game? Oklahoma State is a pressure-trapping, aggressive defensive club. Can Baylor hold on to the basketball enough on the road?
That is a huge question. LeBrian Nash finds Smart, wide open 3 is no good. Marcus Smart has been struggling from the outside of late. With no Kenny Cherry, the ball handling duties will be split up. Gary Franklin has the ball now. He'll do some of it. O'Neal trying to get the ball inside. Austin on the outside with the shot clock winding down. Austin takes it closer to the basket and scores the first bucket of the game.
Austin does a good job of getting his shoulders by his defender. That's when he's at his best. He's not a through contact finisher.
Very talented young player, though, for Baylor. Brian Williams. Markel Brown passed up the outside shot. Williams will take one. Rebound, Austin.
So far, Oklahoma State has taken the exact 2 shots that Baylor wants. Smart takes about a 24-footer, and then you have a non-shooter taking an 18-footer.
Royce O'Neal does have some of the skill set where he could handle the ball just a bit from his forward spot. Heslip, good shooter. Misses from the outside.
Markel Brown went over the top, tried to shortcut a great shooter. You can't get Heslip that much daylight.
Baylor got back in transition D. Cowboys will try when they can.
That's when they're at their best. They average 20 transition points per game. That's 10th in the nation, best in this league. That's a 1-1-3 zone. They really discourage that pass getting to the corner. You have to ball fake it, shot fake it, attack the short corner when you can.
That's a good spot to attack the zone for LeBrian Nash.
Absolutely, and that's when he's at his best. LeBrian Nash has persevered through unrealistic expectations his first couple of years. He has found a home 15 feet in.
At one point considered a one-and-done player. He's a junior, and he's playing the best he ever has. Austin for 3, way off the mark.
Baylor 2 perimeter shots to start the game and 1 around the rim. That's not the recipe for success.
And they'll say that one went out off of Williams, so Travis Ford not happy about that. The Cowboys give the ball up. His 6th season as the head coach of Oklahoma State, and a lot of expectation, maybe a little pressure this year to win and win big.
Well, he knows this ball game right now is dangerous for Oklahoma State. They didn't play well on Monday. They had 4 days to prepare, and Baylor has the 2nd best talent in the Big 12 behind Kansas. That's how dangerous they are.
O'Neal open with the ball moving on the outside. He misses the 3. And you can see Travis Ford asking his guys to run. Smart in transition draws a foul. Told you about Travis Ford, head coach of the Cowboys. There's Scott Drew, his 11th year in Waco, and he has won big. Baylor was a program in disarray when he took over. Scott Drew's done an excellent job.
Well, sometimes when it rains, it pours. They're 1-6, and Baylor tries to land in Stillwater last night. They can't do it, so they had to go to Oklahoma City because of de-icing problems here locally. Then the local bus breaks down in Oklahoma City. They have to wait for a bus to come from Stillwater. They finally arrive late last night. Then this morning, it gets worse. On their way to the game day shoot-around, the bus breaks down and the emergency mode flips in, and the bus only goes 5 miles per hour.
That's when you start to wonder if something's going on. Marcus Smart makes one of two.
Scott Drew talked to his guys about Gideon in the Bible. When things got worse for Gideon, he rose up and did his best work. Baylor needs to do that today.
There's a trap, first one the Cowboys spring, but O'Neal passed out of it. Touchdown low for Corey Jefferson. Franklin will shoot the three. Jefferson grabs the offensive rebound, misses the putback, grabs his own miss, misses that one. And Austin comes away with a loose ball. Lots of good chances for Baylor, and nothing goes down. 3
offensive rebounds. This is the best percentage-wise offensive rebounding team in the Big 12.
Smart, in and out, no good.
I don't think Travis Ford wants Marcus Smart, even in transition and rhythm, early in the ball game, settling for that shot.
Cowboys not making shots. Baylor 1 for 8 from the field so far in this one. Jefferson enters the ball down low to Austin. Not a clean catch. He's got that big height advantage. That was a nifty move. He missed the shot there, but they're calling a foul. Contact to the head. So Austin's going to shoot free throws. Well, the point guard we're talking about for Baylor, there's Kenny Cherry. Kenny has been a very important part of this Baylor team. He started every game, leads the team in assists, most minutes played. They don't have a lot of depth at that spot.
David, as a result, puts even more pressure on Baylor to score at the rim and run and get their defense set. And then on the other end, they have to get stops and not allow Oklahoma State to get their full court, three-quarter court, half-court stuff going. How do you offset it? You pound that thing to the power part of the floor.
Austin made 1 of 2 free throws, so this game's tied at 3. Marcus Smart checked out of the game for the Cowboys. Phil Forte, one of the best shooters in the country, is in, and he's got almost unlimited range.
And Baylor better tagging.
Nash tried to finish strong with the left hand, thought there was contact. Austin altered the shot.
Boy, Corey Jefferson was running wide open down the middle third of the floor, and Heslop just stared him down.
Well, that could have been a dunk for Baylor. Instead, they've got to run more half-court offense. Here's Heslop off that curl, and what a block by Williams, who almost saved it in bounds. He did. He saved it off of Brady Heslop.
Williams is a big-time athlete, got in transition, did a good job of caboosing and locking in on Heslop. And at the top of the shot, stays off of his body, goes in front of his body. A great defensive play by Williams.
Welcome back to Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy. Baylor and 8th-ranked Oklahoma State, 3-3. Dave Fleming, Jimmy Dykes. Jimmy, for the first time in this one, take us inside the play.
Well, like what Oklahoma State did in their zone possession, you're going to see a cross cut here. After the ball's given up, you're going to see a hard cut this direction, and then LeBron Nash is going to fill to the ball side elbow. And watch how he shows his hands coming to the basketball. LeBron Nash, show your hands inside the zone. Boom, there, look at those hands. Perfectly well done. Just enough of a gap to catch it, get squared up and drop it. So I like the cross-cut action, and I love the showing of hands by Nash as he flashes to that basketball.
So I think Travis Ford and Oklahoma State would like to see a little more of that. It was a quick rest for Marcus Smart. He's back on the court with the ball for the Cowboys out of the timeout. Nash cut to near that same spot. A little better guarded, and he lost the ball. That's a turnover.
Hard to dribble inside that zone. Catch it, make a read, and get rid of it.
Austin left alone, but he'll get closer to the basket. Missed another shot. Isaiah Austin having a hard time from the field. Markel Brown, spectacular athlete. Nash against that length. There's Brown for 3. No good. Smart got a hand on it, out of bounds and off of Baylor.
Markel Brown has not shot the ball well in conference play. Now, he had a big shooting night early this year. We went 5 out of 9 against Kansas. In the other Big 12 games, Markel Brown is 4 out of 24 from the three-point line.
They need him to make shots.
Oh, big time they need him to make shots.
Because he's more than just an athlete. Markel Brown's spectacular dunker, but he's a very skilled player.
Got a great mid-range game, high motor, can elevate with the best of them.
Brown, great pass to Smart, who is challenged and fouled.
Same thing, Marcus Smart shows his hands inside the zone. Flashing from the corner, you're gonna watch Marcus Smart right here. When he flashes, watch where his hands are. Boom. Well done. Those are target paws, target hands that Oklahoma State is showing the passer inside the zone.
Torian Prince comes in. So did Rico Gathers, who's a tremendous physical presence, great rebounder for Baylor. Smart missed the free throw, makes the second. So the shooting struggles have carried into this game here this afternoon.
Here comes the pressure of Oklahoma State, just a little bit. They'll change it up, give you different flavors.
No Kenny Cherry. How will they handle it? Right there, not very well. That's a turnover.
Not very well. You're throwing it to a guy that's not a handler in Torian Prince. Get on to the next play. Scott Drew telling Prince the same thing. Cherry barking out similar instructions. Forget it and move on.
Kenny Cherry really struggled with a toe problem. Baylor lost at home on Tuesday. Very tough loss to West Virginia at the buzzer. And just not able to go here today.
Yeah, combination toe ankle now, Scott Drew told me in the locker room about an hour ago.
That ball tipped away. Another Oklahoma State turnover. Prince in transition. Rico Gathers, throws a lob. Jefferson went way up high but couldn't handle it.
Horrible pass because the play was there.
Brown crossover. No good. Tip up. Prince grabs the board. And nobody's making shots here in the first 6 minutes. Prince transition three. That one goes down.
Well done by Prince because he had a bad turnover 2 possessions ago, and tough guys don't let one mistake become 2. He shakes it off and comes down, and with confidence snaps it off in transition.
First 3 make for the Bears. They have the point lead. Brown jumper. Good.
I thought it was interesting. Travis Ward told us that Markel Brown and Marcus Smart went nose to nose the last 3 days in practice. Best against best. You're not able to do that a lot, but since they played on Monday, he wanted those 2 guys to get their edge back, so he paired them against one another in practice.
A little break in the schedule. Heslip, no good on the 3. Gathers goes over the back, trying for the offensive rebound, his first foul. This Big 12 conference has just been so tough, and we've got another great game in the Big 12. Kansas, Texas, part of our lineup throughout the night on ESPN.
I will not be shocked at all that Texas doesn't take that thing down to the last possession or 2. They have the front line led by Ridley to hold. Said it in the studio earlier this week, and I firmly believe it. Arizona and Kansas are playing the best 2 basketball brands that we have in the college game right now.
Good no-look pass from Smart, but then Nash had it stripped away. Ish Wainwright in the game. Knocked down the defender, but commits the offensive foul.
And Davis drawn by Marcus Smart, the charge. And Marcus Smart cannot play a 40-minute style of game where all he's trying to do is just bully people into the lane. Oklahoma State's not at their best. He's not at his best. He has to touch the game in every area. He just did it defensively.
Stevie Clark has checked in for the first time for the Cowboys. Extra ball handler for Oklahoma State. Nash again near that spot with a catch. Tries to dribble through the defense. Clark back to Nash. Dunks it home.
I thought the Cowboys got away with the travel, though, on the first post touch. Scott Drew thought the same thing.
Oklahoma State up by 2. Wainwright, very versatile player. He can handle the ball. Big freshman from Kansas City.
You know, without Cherry, I think Scott Drew will use this guy today because his big body can keep the pressure off of him.
Franklin up top to Wainwright, who's just wide open, unguarded, hits the three.
You're dialed in. You told me an hour ago Ish Wainwright was going to be a player in this game.
He's got the physical tools. When you play against a team like Oklahoma State with the athletes they have, Wainwright can hang with them. Clark, long range three.
No. That's not what he needs to be doing.
So far, Baylor's defense has forced a lot of outside shots. Sloppy pass. Wainwright hustles and at least prevents the breakaway. So not a bad play by Wainwright, but it is a Baylor turnover. Markel Brown, great athlete, one of the best in the country. We might coin a new phrase when we come back. We'll take a look at some of his highlight dunks over his career.
Markelevation. It's out there now.
Dave Fleming, Jimmy Dykes back here in Stillwater. Baylor with a 9-8 first half lead over Oklahoma State. The Cowboys feature one of the best athletes in the country, Markel Brown. Can we coin a new phrase, Jimmy?
Markelevation. I mean, this cat's 6'3", and he's got pop around the rim with anybody in college basketball. And he's had several hashtag SC top 10 plays in his career. You don't let this guy get out in transition, or it is an automatic, not only 2 points, but an automatic body blow, and it will hurt your feelings.
Great stuff from Markel Brown, the senior from Alexandria, Louisiana, who I think when he came to Oklahoma State, is he just an athlete, a dunker? He has become a much better all-around player. Double figures in 19 of 20 games. He's been huge.
Here's what impresses me also about Markel Brown. He's a 27% three-point shooter in Big 12 play, but he's still getting his 17 points because he's now 26 out of 42 from the two-point part of the floor, and he gets to the free throw line and makes them about 75% of the time.
And you see those numbers, Jimmy. He plays big minutes. He doesn't turn the ball over. All that stuff contributes to make him a winning player.
His middle game and his elevation is cash money. 15 feet and in, he's automatic. So is this guy from three.
That's his first miss in a while. He was 6 of 6 for three. Forte was against Oklahoma on Monday. Prince nowhere to go. Passed out of that trap.
You have to watch Oklahoma State. They're a little foxy on the defensive end from the standpoint they will show zone and go to man within the possession. I saw it in the Oklahoma game and asked the staff about it, and you have to watch this play.
There are not many teams that can do that. Gathers was double teamed but scores anyway.
The double team wasn't quite tight enough, and it's hard to gather team the strength away from Gathers. Maybe the best set of shoulders in college basketball.
Just a beast down low for Baylor. And not known for his offensive game in terms of the skill. That was a pretty nice move. There's Smart flashing middle, was looking to pass down low to Murphy, but was fouled.
Well, here's what I like about Rico Gathers. You get him a touch on the low block. He fights for hard position. Now, there's nothing wrong with that double team, but he turns out of it and creates just a little bit of space with his big, broad shoulders. He's the one guy that consistently will fight for a deep post touch. Those other post players, Jefferson, Isaiah Austin, they give up and step out of the lane way too easily.
Rico Gathers, #1 offensive rebounder by percentage in the country. When he's on the floor and Baylor misses a shot, Gathers is going to get it.
Absolutely.
Smart from the free throw line, knocks that one down.
Now that's Marcus Smart now, I think, at his best. Moving him around the floor, getting the ball out of his hands, and letting him make plays for himself or for other Cowboys.
Sometimes you wonder, does he need to just see a few shots go in to help get his offensive game going? Prince, Clark right on top of him with the pressure defense, but Prince got an opening, missed the three. Here comes Oklahoma State.
See, I think that's a give-in possession by Baylor. They never got the thing to the low block.
5th turnover already for the Cowboys.
Those big bodies of Baylor have done a good job so far, Dave, of getting a body into the smaller, quicker defenders and not turning the ball over.
Heslip, dangerous pass. Smart in there, then got knocked to the ground. There was no whistle.
He got smoked. You have to protect guys in a loose ball situation, because there was an advantage gained.
Austin down low, trying to pass out of the double team. Heslip hits the three.
That is their best offense. A low post threat on the same side of the floor with Heslip.
Smart looking angry, attacked the basket, but missed the shot.
That is not what Marcus Smart needs to do. He can get to the rim anytime he wants. He will bully you to the rim. But he misses too many shots inside and doesn't allow the offense to get into flow.
Gathers got fouled by Smart, and that's not a good foul. Rico Gathers is not an outside shooter. Smart puts him at the free throw line. So Gathers will be shooting. We get to remind you coming up later today here on ESPN. A big-time Big 12 ACC doubleheader. Number 6 Kansas on the road to take on 25th ranked Texas. And then at 6:30 Saturday primetime, presented by DirecTV, Duke and Syracuse, the new rivalry in the ACC. The Orange still undefeated.
36,000 plus, I believe, tonight in the Carrier Dome. It will not faze Duke. It will not faze Duke. Really, only about 10,000 fans affect the game there because the other 26,000 are so far away. Duke's been on the big stages across the country, and they have the ability, Duke does, because their shooters, their best shooters are all 6'8", 6'8", or 6'4". You must have shooting size against that Syracuse zone.
Duke's been playing much better of late. Meanwhile, Baylor in this funk that they're in, 1-6 in conference play. Free throws have just killed the Bears at times. Gathers makes 1 of 2. Jimmy was talking about that matchup up in Syracuse, and the two friends from USA Basketball. Those two have become very close over the last decade or so.
Absolutely they have. Mike Krzyzewski actually picked to bring in Jim Boeheim during USA Basketball for that 2-3 zone for the Olympics. And there's no secret right now. You know exactly what you need to do against it. Jabari Parker has to be a playmaker inside the zone and show his hands tonight, much like Oklahoma State has done.
Murphy on the baseline. There's the length of Baylor. Murphy, I think he stepped out of bounds. He did. That's an Oklahoma State turnover. 6th for the Cowboys.
Desperate teams are dangerous teams once the calendar turns to February. You said it, Dave Fleming, the length can swallow you up at that short corner when Baylor traps you.
Pressure from Oklahoma State. The pass, not a good one.
That was a crazy pass.
Brown baseline, found his open teammate. Smart, no good on the 3. Wainwright looking to run, and he found Heslip wide open. Murphy with a pretty good closeout. Heslip taking the ball to the basket is not the strength of his game, but Jefferson had a good look. Missed that one. It's been ragged in the first 12 minutes of this game on both sides. Nash is playing well.
Yeah, he shot the ball with sideways spin. I'm not sure it came off of his hand clean. But again, he shows his hands and catches that ball around the 12-foot mark, making some tough shots inside the zone so far, Oklahoma State.
Baylor trying to manage without their starting point guard Kenny Cherry out today. Wainwright playing much bigger minutes. Heslip, you give him a little space and he will knock down the 3.
Oklahoma State icing the side action of Baylor, and Baylor that time got the ball to the middle with a quick throwback. Heslip and Ethan Wragge and Phil Forte, all those guys right now shooting lights out. The Wragge kid from Creighton.
So timeout here in Stillwater. Oklahoma State struggling on offense, and desperate Baylor up by 6. All right, Max, thanks. So far, so good for Baylor, playing without their point guard on the road against a top 10 team with a 1-6 conference record, and yet the Bears are hanging in there with the Cowboys.
Well, they're doing a nice job on the boards. Unlike their game Tuesday against West Virginia, not a lot of life, not a lot of pop in anything they did that night. And defensively, you see they got nothing done. And that's why I said earlier, I know Stevie Clark's a 40% three-point shooter, but you have to make Baylor prove they can guard you in this ball game to that 4th or 5th pass.
Brian Nash has come to play here this afternoon with a foul. Chance for a three-point play off a nice little inbounds play. And that's the area of the court you talked about. Right off the top, he has stopped shooting threes for the most part. LeBron Nash operating in the middle of the zone and being very effective.
Well, with the injury to Cobbins, this is a 3 guy now playing the 4. He's the best post-up option on film when I watch that Oklahoma State has. He can go by you with his left or his right. He can rip and go in an isolation situation, does a lot of good things. That 17-foot and in mark.
Corey Jefferson to the bench. Baylor. O'Neal brings it up this time. And they left Heslip open again. He'll hit that all day long.
I'm telling you, that is the danger of pressing Baylor right there. You let a shooter get loose on the backside of the press. And a good job to take it from the top third of the floor to the bottom third corner. That's the danger.
Markel Brown open, answers. Heslip on a run out. Thought about the three in transition. Cowboys did get back on defense that time, so Scott Drew calls a play. O'Neal was trying to find Heslip, but it was kicked out of bounds.
When you press, you're going to let a shooter look over in the corner, wide open. That's the danger when you press. And you have to have an awareness. That's the one guy that can do that. Splash. And that will make Travis Ford think a little bit about how much full court pressure he uses in this game, because Baylor's putting their shooter at the back end of it.
Franklin, against some pressure, gets the ball inbounds. Shot clock is down to 12 already for the Bears. Franklin can shoot. That one way off the mark. Nash threw it out of bounds. Gathers did not touch it, so it's Baylor ball. But we showed those numbers, Jimmy. Only 6 turnovers against Baylor all game on Tuesday by West Virginia. Oklahoma State already has 7.
I think Baylor knows exactly where they are this season. This is the turning point for Baylor. They're top 25 talent, top 25 depth, top 25 size. They play with the top 300 heart and energy for the big part of conference play. They have Oklahoma State today, Kansas at home on Tuesday, a game I will be at, and then they go to Norman next Saturday. This is a chance for them to save their season.
Brown, another three, almost the same spot.
Wide open, wide open.
And Markel Brown getting it going. O'Neal right through the pressure, gathers under the basket, missed the reverse, got his own miss, had it stripped away, out of bounds off of Oklahoma State.
They've identified 4 teams I think have to have a massive February urgency about them starting today. Baylor, Arkansas, Cal, and SMU. Someone better light a fire under all 4 of those teams starting now.
5:28 to go. First half in Stillwater, and Baylor with the 23-21 lead. Dave Fleming, Jimmy Dykes here courtside. Jimmy, I like what you were saying before the break there. The strength of this league can be a curse. It can also be a blessing. Baylor needs big wins. They have the opportunity to get those.
They need opportunities because they have not played up to their level of expectations, up to their level of talent so far this season. And they are so good on baseline out of bounds, and they just throw it away.
Brown got lucky there. Good catch by Murphy, and he scores to tie the game.
What you're always worried about in Gallagher-Iba Arena, when I was an assistant coach here at Oklahoma State, this building can explode, and the home team can get on 8-9-0 runs. Baylor has to guard against it right now.
They're on a little 8-2 run at the moment, and it's starting to get loud. O'Neal to Austin, had his shot blocked. O'Neal uses the glass.
But see what getting the ball around the rim does for you, Dave?
Yep.
It allows for easy offensive rebound opportunities because you can't guard the ball, you can't rebound. That was Oklahoma State's problem on that possession.
Nash against the shot blocker, Isaiah Austin. Stepped away from Austin, but came up short. Now we'll see if the Bears try to get another touchdown low. Austin a long way from the basket. That ball was poked by Brown, so not an over and back.
Oklahoma State fighting hard to keep the ball on the outer thirds of the floor where they're downing their icing action. There it is again.
Gathers from that elbow area. Long rebound tracked down by Murphy. Marcus Smart really wants to push. Good bounce pass look. Murphy hits the jumper.
Well, Baylor has given up too many wide open jump shots right now.
Fifth time this game has been tied in the first half. Heslip, Forte hounding him.
Yeah, Forte's guarding himself right now. He knows exactly how someone guards him.
It's so true. Forte and Heslip are so similar. Gathers, meanwhile, with another impressive little hook shot. Rico Gathers has 7 first-half points. He's getting more and more minutes for Baylor.
I like Baylor when they're playing man-to-man defense. Scott Drew can hold his guys more accountable in this defense as opposed to that zone.
Nash, Austin got the closeout there. Here's Smart, great bounce pass. Murphy with the dunk.
He has all the things in terms of the pocket passes, either on the move or off the on-ball screening action. Now, he has other areas he has to develop as a point guard, but he can really make those pocket passes on time.
Beautiful. Assist number 5 for Marcus Smart in the first half. Under 3 to go. Austin's spin move was fouled. So Isaiah Austin getting the ball closer to the rim, draws the foul, takes us to a timeout.
Well, Marcus Smart is 6'4", 225 pounds, and just a little bit of a pocket. He bounces it with quickness and accuracy. Well done.
It was a wild finish in Madison, that's for sure. 27-27 here in Stillwater, 2:31 to go in the first half. Baylor 1-6 in conference play. Just a few weeks ago, this Baylor team was a top 10 team in the country. And Travis Ford and his Oklahoma State Cowboys, they're the 8th ranked team at the moment, but they have not played all that well these last couple weeks.
And Baylor trying to get well in the strongest conference in college basketball. That is not easy to do. Big Ten fans don't want to hear that, but the Big 12 is the strongest conference.
Women's college basketball back tomorrow, 2 Eastern on ESPN. 2 of the top teams in the country, Notre Dame and Duke from Cameron Indoor. 2 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN. Isaiah Austin shot an air ball.
That's one of the most interesting stories, I think, in college basketball right now in the women's game. Who's the second best team in the nation? That's going to be a dogfight because the #1 team is so far out in front, UConn. That's what I have my eyes on. Who's the second best team in the country?
Yeah, there are 2 questions, right? Who's number 2, and whoever it is, do they have a shot when it comes down to it to beat #1? Brian Nash into the lane. Strong move, LeBrian Nash.
How quick was that, Dave?
He is so much better this year than he has been in his first 2 years. Wainwright and Smart, 2 strong kids. Wainwright steps out. Had the ball stripped away. The strongest guy on the floor is Rico Gathers. And they whistled a foul. Gathers got the shot to go.
Rico Gathers probably got away with a walk. And maybe Oklahoma State got away with a foul to start with. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. But Rico Gathers right now shooting 40% from the field coming in. I don't think he thinks anyone from Oklahoma State can guard him. And he might be right.
Well, the guys who have gone from college hoops to the NFL these last few years, a lot of tight ends, defensive ends. Rico Gathers looks like a guy who maybe could have that choice at some point.
He is a stud. I think of Patrick Young down at Florida. Oh, look at this kid, my goodness.
Well, the 3-point play, Rico Gathers having a nice game.
He's 6'8", 270, and can move and can catch. That's a tight end waiting to run right down the middle of the seam of his own defense, right?
No question. He's got good hands. In fact, he steals that pass right away. Gathers, Forte can't stop him.
Rico Gathers. The best player in this game so far has been that dude. That is a dude. That's not a player. On cue, Rico Gathers. Going to run through the pass, knock it out in front, and in 3 dribbles, Phil Forte does the good thing of just getting out of the way, or that would have hurt. Off his head. When you dunk it, and it comes down and goes off your forehead, and you turn and run down the other way, showing your guns, That's special on the first day of February.
Get out of the way of that. Man, Rico Gathers. And we know him for his rebounding. Best offensive rebounder by the numbers in college hoops. But he's showing off a different offensive game. He handled the ball in transition there. I don't know if I've ever seen him do that. Sometimes you just need one guy to say enough is enough is enough. And it might be Rico Gathers right now, because there's no way this club should be 1-6 in any conference in the country. And I tell you, Jimmy, one difference between these two teams, the depth. Baylor has 18 points off the bench. Oklahoma State has not scored off the bench in this game. Well, they have a little bit of scoring normally with Forte and Clark, but that's not their strength. Williams draws a foul, going to the basket. Prince called for a personal. And immediately Marcus Smart gathers up his troops. There are some outstanding leaders in college ball, and this guy is right there sitting in the room with the rest of them. Yeah, it's fun to watch Marcus Smart, even at practice, shoot around, the way he interacts with his teammates and his head coach. He is the unquestioned leader of this team. Free throw shooting on both sides really has not been great. Oklahoma State and Williams missing the first one. Cowboys just 3 of 6 at the line. Now 3 of 7. One thing about Marcus Smart, it's not easy. I mean, it's hard to make the easy plays. And that's another step in his development as the lead guard for Oklahoma State right now. He tries to force things a little too much, a lot of times because he can, but it's the easy plays, the throwbacks off the ball screen gets corralled, just things like that he still needs growth. Clark checks in the game for the Cowboys. Clark's a weapon, 40+% from 3, but he has to make Baylor work. Baylor wants him taking first side jump shots. Another foul against Prince, he cannot stay out of foul trouble. Prince commits so many fouls, but you're talking about Smart and his leadership. My favorite graphic of the day is this one right here. In 4 that I trust, Marcus Smart as a leader, Sean Kilpatrick as a leader, Doug McDermott as a leader, and Fred VanVleet from Wichita State. I trust their leadership qualities. Those are 4 terrific teammates, 4 tough dudes, 4 guys that when you walk out of the locker room as a coaching staff, you know that those 4 guys have control over what's going on. And there's not much separation between any of those 4. Doug McDermott is special in that area, and he doesn't get near enough credit for what he does as a coach's son. Is there a big gap now in Player of the Year discussions as McDermott separated himself, you think? Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like the women's basketball chase. Who's going to finish second in that conversation? We know number 1. Yeah, Doug McDermott is out there. Final minute here in Stillwater. Clark right on top of Wainwright. He wants to post up Stevie Clark. You got the big size advantage. Gathers threw the ball away. Gathers turned down a wide open 15-footer. Showed some discipline, but you know, if you're Scott Drew, that's the shot that he has to take. I think that's what he just told him in his ear. The Baylor's preached a lot of that. If you're open, just shoot the ball. And if Baylor gets shots up, they're such a good offensive rebounding team. They can go get a miss. The problem with that turnover, too, shot clock is off now, so the Cowboys can hold for the final look. And the problem with that theory is I've watched enough Baylor on film. They have bought into it. If you're open, shoot the ball. Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes when that thing's going up. They should be a lot better discipline today, I would agree, huh? Would you? I would. Baylor's playing well. Markel Brown holding here. Clock down to 10 now, and the Cowboys need to go. Down to 7. Shoot it early enough to give yourself a chance for a putback. And they haven't gotten Smart a touch. There's a whistle and an offensive foul. Smart called for the foul, clearing out down low. And so Baylor, with 3.9 seconds, gets the ball back. I think it's going to happen right in there. He gets that right there. That is exactly the right call. You fight for position from the waist down, not from the waist up. An excellent call that time by Steve Olson. Well, Baylor's got plenty of time for a couple, maybe 3 dribbles and a shot, depending on where they get the ball in. They have time for 4 dribbles, and Franklin is the speed guy that can do it. You're going to wrap him off of a banana cut here probably.
Let him turn and go.
Franklin gets the catch, but there was Clark to interrupt the play, and that shot, even if it went, would not have counted. The first half comes to an end. Baylor has the 1-point lead, thanks in large part to that guy. Rico Gathers and Baylor playing hard and playing well. Gathers with the power dunk in the first half. Max Bretos in studio with the Mazda halftime report. Welcome back to Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy from Stillwater. Start of the second half. Baylor with the 32-31 lead over Oklahoma State in this Big 12. Oklahoma State, the 8th-ranked team of the country, slotted behind Kansas. Baylor not playing like the 9th team in conference here today. Inside Gallagher, Iva, Dave Fleming, Jimmy Dykes. Happy to have you back for the start of the second half. Jimmy, at all surprised with how competitive Baylor's been? No, because, again, they're desperate. And it's now February. I think we're getting ready to see the most important 20 minutes of Baylor's season right now. This could be a second half save for the Baylor Bears if they can come in here and finish off Oklahoma State. What have they done well? They have not turned the ball over. Oklahoma State actually has more turnovers. Surprising, because Baylor playing without their starting point guard, Kenny Cherry. And it seems like Baylor's going to have to lean on number 2. Both number 2s. We won one-on-one in the first half. It was number 2 versus number 2. Let's go 2-on-2 at halftime for our highlights. Well, Brian Nash is very good and active, showing his hands inside the zone. Has been phenomenal, 15 feet and in. And Oklahoma State has to keep feeding him. Rico Gathers has been the tone setter, the vibe, the pulse, the energy, and the muscle with the hustle so far for Scott Drew's guy. His steal and dunk off of his forehead and showing his guns are one of my favorite moments so far in all of this year's season. Travis Ford has to be a little concerned. He has gotten some balance outside of Marcus Smart, but Phil Forte, who's been red hot lately, has not scored in this game. They stand and they're allowed. Start of the second half. Baylor has the first possession. Where you keep getting Heslop open looks. He's 3 out of 6 from the three-point line, and Rico Gathers is 5 for 7 from 2. They could really use something from Corey Jefferson, who scores. He was in foul trouble in the first half and was very quiet. Oklahoma State only fouled 5 times, so Baylor didn't get to the free throw stripe in that first half. But they keep playing muscle ball. It will eventually show up. Nash to Smart along the baseline. Good look up top. Brown from the right side. 3. It's the pass out of the trap, and then the next pass is the killer. Marcus Smart quickly read the trap coming and fed it to the guy that made the pass. It's the second pass that's dangerous. He should get the hockey assist on that one. He should get the hockey assist. Jefferson. And a bad look from O'Neal. Trying to go down low. Williams in transition was fouled. Talk about a stare down by Royce O'Neal up top. Just stared down Austin for about 1,001, 1,002, and Scott Drew is going to tell him something very similar. Ball fake, be quick. Eye fake, ball fake. Stare it down the whole time before the ball was even coming to him. And how long do you go before you put Rico Gathers back in? I'm asking you. Not long. Okay, I like your answer. See, if I'm Scott Drew, and I turn to my assistant right now, which is you, and I say, how long before we go with Rico? Let's get him in right now. He's ready to go. He started on Tuesday night. Now, he is not a starter at the beginning of games. He started the second half against West Virginia. He had played so well in the first half of that one. So we'll see. The free throws put Oklahoma State up by 2. Remember, no Kenny Cherry, starting point guard, has started every game for Baylor this year. He is out. His toe, his ankle bothering him. That's a set for Heslop. Anytime he sticks his head under the rim, he's coming out on one side or the other. Austin against Nash, running through the lane, uses the glass, count the basket. Chance for a 3-point play. Travis Ford's biggest concern at 9:30 this morning was Baylor's ability to score points in a crowd, in traffic, in front of the rim. And Isaiah Austin that time just strong enough to work off of the bounce of Nash, the bump of Nash. And Baylor has come to ball so far. This is a guy, just a sophomore, very, very highly regarded player in high school. he's had to overcome. You may have seen our ESPN story from a few weeks ago. He cannot see out of his right eye. He also had a big-time shoulder problem this offseason. Couldn't lift weights, but Austin is getting better. He's a good shot blocker. Nash goes right by him and draws the foul.
That's what Nash has to do because there's about, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches difference between those two players. So just a little bit of an up fake got Austin to straighten up and then attack the hill.
First foul against Austin. And I like how you put it in the first half. LeBron Nash, who's playing so well today, he's strong, but he also has that quick first step.
You know, he's number 2 behind Marcus Smart in free throw attempts. You can jailbreak with this guy when he gets the ball off the defensive board. You can trust him to just bring it himself. And again, he has persevered through unrealistic expectations by all the recruiting experts when he was coming out of high school and people talking about the draft his first year. He has weathered that storm and found out who he is right now.
Nice to see. Nash makes them both, because those expectations can be crushing.
Sure.
When things don't go quite as well as planned. Franklin pressured by Marcus Smart. Jefferson, that double team came pretty quick. He threw it away. Nash in transition. Great bounce pass. Reverse. No good from Williams.
Such a weak pass out of the double team by Baylor on that last possession.
Rico Gathers still on the bench. Heslip 3. Got it.
Too much room. Way too much room for Brian Williams to try to take a shortcut over the top of the baseline screen. No shortcuts when you're guarding a lethal shooter. Tag him, caboose him, be there on the catch.
The bounce pass. Murphy scores. No. Turned it over before the basket. Great pass. Murphy could not finish.
One, two, just, I don't know. I think he kept that left foot down. I think he stuttered step with the right foot, but the left foot he had stuck.
I agree with you. I mean, I think you could see why the official called it. It was awkward looking, but I don't think it was a travel.
No.
Another bad pass by O'Neal. Turns it over again.
O'Neal cannot feed the post. He's a horrible post passer.
Nash stepped into the 2. There's a whistle and a foul under the basket. Players getting a little rough. The officials trying to get in between everybody. Smart hit the deck hard.
I think O'Neal's coming out and Prince is going in. I think Scott Drew's seen enough of O'Neal giving away possessions.
Well, the officials are going to take a look. So they're going to use the monitor to see if there was some illegal contact, I'm guessing, above the shoulders.
Foul on Baylor, number Royce O'Neal. That is his second. 13 foul.
Now the officials using our monitor, also using the official monitor right at midcourt to try to look at this one.
Well, there was a blow delivered by Royce O'Neal on the right side. I'd like to see it again to see if the elbow got up intentionally high.
I mean, you can see why they wanted to look at this.
Watch right here. O'Neal's going to check out. Now watch what happens with the right elbow. No, I think it's just a foul. I didn't see him raise the elbow up, make contact above the shoulders.
And I guess you could call him for making what wasn't a basketball play almost targeting Marcus Smart there.
Do they rule that excessive contact on a player? That's just going to be a judgment call by how they see it. Was it a strong send the message box off, or was it excessive contact?
Well, they're obviously debating that. I mean, I think you're right. It's clear there wasn't contact above the shoulders. That's not what they're talking about. These officials in the Big 12. Steve Olson, Don Daly, Patrick Adams today. Royce O'Neal has already committed a couple second half turnovers, then commits that foul. The question is it A flagrant foul. ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic. Season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. Our journey continues tonight. ACC, and a really good scene up at the Carrier Dome. Syracuse and Duke, number 2 against number 17. 6:30 Eastern on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN.
I'm not so sure Prince wasn't frustrated by the last 2 turnovers that he'd had. And then, so how is it viewed? Was it a strong basketball box out, or was it excessive contact?
Well, the officials are talking about it and now telling the coaches their decision. Travis Ford doesn't look thrilled. So I'm guessing he was hoping for something more than just a common foul. And I think they have ruled it just a basketball play. You can see Jimmy talking with the lead official, Steve Olson. So, what did Steve tell you?
What I thought just is a basketball play. They didn't see enough contact high with the elbow.
Look at Marcus Smart. Threw it off the back of the defender. Stepped in bounds. Scored. Draws a foul. Just vintage Marcus Smart right there.
Only a few players in the country are smart enough and confident enough to make this play. First of all, you have to throw that ball where it bounces right back to you. So you have to read the angle of the shoulders right in front of him. And he throws it for a perfect angle right back into his own mitts. Beautiful.
What a heady play by one of the smartest players, pun perhaps intended, in college hoops. Marcus Smart completes the three-point play. Notice also, Jimmy, number 2 for Baylor, Rico Gathers, finally took 3+ minutes, is in the game. Then a back and forth game, 11 ties, 11 lead changes. Cowboys right now up by 1.
For Franklin not being a point guard, he's done a nice job handling the rock for Baylor in this game.
We'll get the ball from Prince. Jefferson the catch, and he tried to flush it home. Gets the carom. Gathers kept it alive, and Jefferson scores.
And that was all Rico Gathers. He doesn't get any credit for anything but throwing his body in there and keeping the ball alive.
Smart 3. Jefferson defensive rebound.
Reminder, Marcus Smart, a 20-something% three-point shooter in Big 12 play. Baylor will let him take that shot early and often.
He's in a shooting funk. 0 for 4 from outside in this one.
Now he's about 25% from three-point line in conference play.
Prince again trying to get the ball down low. This time Murphy prevents that. Here's Gathers in the lane. Switch to the left hand.
They can't guard him. Oklahoma State cannot guard Rico Gathers, and Rico Gathers knows it.
And then a quick turnover. So Marcus Smart and Kamari Murphy, a little miscommunication there, will send us to a timeout. Marcus Smart and his Cowboys, just a brilliant play here by the sophomore point guard for a three-point opportunity, but the Baylor Bears are hanging in.
If that ball bounces off of the 2 instead of the 1, it's a turnover.
Dave Fleming, Jimmy Dykes at Eddie Sutton Court here in Stillwater. Baylor with the three-point lead. And Jimmy, at halftime you visited the Cowboys legend, your old friend and coach, Eddie Sutton.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time with that guy over the years and played for him at Arkansas, was an assistant coach for him at Arkansas and Kentucky, and spent time on his staff here at Oklahoma State as well. And all former players have a great fondness and love in their heart for their guy that they've spent so much time with. And all of his former players feel the same way about Eddie Sutton.
He looks proud of you.
Well, it's either that or he's enjoying the popcorn that he was eating.
Lob, and Jefferson finishes from up top. Corey Jefferson.
I love what Baylor has done in this game. They right now have an identity. That ball around the rim.
Brown enters it. The extra pass, Forte. And he still has not scored in this game. And there's Rico Gathers to rip the ball down.
You know, the length of Baylor can bother you at that three-point line.
Prince traveled.
Between Prince and O'Neal, Scott Drew can't find a guy at that position. Right here, you're going to see on the right post. Just call it and throw it right there with this kind of length. This is a great play for Baylor to utilize against the zone.
And I like the point you made before. Gathers was the passer. He's not a great passer. They got the ball in Gary Franklin's hands that time, and he delivered a perfect pass.
Franklin has 1 turnover in this game, and he's not a true point guard, and the true point guard's on the bench. Franklin is a big part of why Baylor has this lead.
Doing a nice job. Brown to Nash. Franklin was there to close out in that zone defense. Forte tries again, and that one way off the mark. Might have been deflected. Forte hits the ground. Smart comes away with the ball and scores. It looked like Baylor was headed the other way, but no.
Baylor better stay attached to Forte. He was 6 for 6 the other night in Norman, Oklahoma. And right now they're doing a good job of flying at him, saying, can you do anything off the bounce to beat us?
Prince was tempted to shoot, did not. Prince falling down, traveled and turned it over again. Man, that spot, O'Neal and Prince,
has been brutal. I'll finish your sentence. It has been brutal the last 3 minutes.
I had a few different choices. That would have been one of them. Now, O'Neal's got to play better. He committed a couple fouls through 2 entry passes that were not good in the first few minutes of this half.
1-1-3 zone that I think you can screen the top of it like Oklahoma State just did and really get them in a bind.
Murphy down low, bad pass. Gathers was the one who cut in front and knocked it away.
You can't throw the ball across your body. My goodness, we're in February.
Sloppy ball handling. Nash does get out on Heslip there. Heslip, I think, thought he was going to be open. That pass deflected. Fortunate carom for the Bears. Shot clock down to 12.
We'll go right back to Heslip. Attack it.
The quick release off the mark. It's going to carry him out of bounds. Heslip thought he was fouled. Scott Drew thought he was too.
Heslip didn't have a lot of space. He's about 6'2", and if Prince would have driven the ball at Markel Brown, it would have certainly given Heslip about another half a second to catch and get it off. Just no playmaker on the floor for Baylor. None.
We haven't seen Ish Wainwright in this second half either. He did some of that in the first half. Good look, missed shot, Baylor rebound. See if Baylor can get the ball to Gathers or Jefferson down low. Franklin creates for Heslip, the little shot fake, hits the 3.
A lethal, you said little, it was a lethal shot fake is what it was.
His 5th 3 of this game. Brown, the answer.
Travis Ford feeds confidence to his guys in transition. You're in rhythm and it feels good, especially guys like Brown. Forte, let it fly.
Gathers will shoot that shot. Jefferson had position, but it carried him so far away from him, he couldn't grab it. This would tie. Brown, no good. And Franklin might have tipped it to O'Neal.
Ball's got to go inside, Dave. It has to go inside unless Heslip gets daylight.
Well, you said that at the top of the broadcast. When Baylor has done it, they've been successful. They've also been successful with him shooting it, not that time. Forte passed up the 3 and then threw it away.
That's why you make him do something off the bounce. He hasn't proven he can do it.
Franklin in transition scores. And a timeout. Travis Ford and Oklahoma State will send us to a timeout. Baylor hanging in there in this game, and look at the numbers for the 2 shooters, Jimmy.
Yeah, you got one guy wearing green that come in with a desperate determination about his ball club so far. Forte, nothing.
51-46, Baylor winning on the road here in Stillwater. Coming up later today here on ESPN, a huge Big 12 ACC doubleheader at 4. Saturday showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy continuing. 6th-ranked Kansas, number 25 Texas at the Irwin Center. Then at 6:30. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. 17th ranked Duke, number 2 Syracuse. Both games live on Watch ESPN. Jimmy, does Duke have the shooters to bust the zone?
Absolutely they do, because they have shooters with size. Parker at 6'8", Hood at 6'8", Dawkins on the left at 6'4" or 5". And you have to be able at some point jump up and make guarded, covered up shots against the length of the Syracuse zone. How quickly you adjust to that length is always a variable, because you cannot, talking to that Duke staff this week, in any way duplicate what it looks like in practice.
Baylor's zone is a little different than Syracuse's, but at times Oklahoma State has struggled against it, and they've struggled against number 2. Rico gathers another rebound.
Look at that ball game coming up after us. Kansas at Texas. Kansas has scored 50 or more paint points 4 times this season. The rest of the Big 12 combined has only done it 7 times. That's why I still like Kansas in that ball game at Texas.
Smart, little jump stop, tough shot, no good. Rebound, and Smart rips it away. Forte couldn't get open to get the shot off.
How about the quick find defensively on Forte after the loose ball?
Yeah, it was nicely done. Williams, but the ball caroms to O'Neal.
I'm telling you, but Baylor got a great chance to win this ball game. If they play smart, they make Oklahoma State work right now and keep getting the ball inside and pounding the glass. They're not turning it over. Scott Drew couldn't feel any better than where he's at right now with 10:30 to go.
They have their biggest lead. Jefferson, the double team comes. That was a pretty nifty spin move.
Turned away from where the help was coming from, did Jefferson. Read it, spun opposite, and drops it down.
This is the best Baylor has played in a long time. Murphy faces up and scores.
And now we're getting ready to watch the most important 10 minutes of Baylor's season.
They've given themselves the opportunity for what could be a season salvaging win.
Again, Heslop stuck his head under the rim, so he's coming out as a shooter.
Jefferson tried to set a screen. Whistle. And I don't know if there was a travel or a timeout. Apparently not a timeout. The travel was called before that. So that sends us to a timeout here in Stillwater.
Keep pounding that thing to the low block, Scott Drew. Your big guys are producing for you. Watch Jefferson. He's going to catch it. He sees where the help's coming from and spins away from the help. Well done. 34.
Back in Stillwater, Baylor looking for a huge win on the road, up 55-48. Dave Fleming alongside Jimmy Dykes. Jimmy, you used the word desperation. The question was Baylor going to play with that energy, that enthusiasm? I think the resounding answer has been yes.
Absolutely. You know what? They've been alive and alert and active defensively. They're not anything close to being a defensive dynamite team, but in this ball game, at least they have forced some turnovers. They've created problems for Oklahoma State, not giving them a ton of easy looks. And Scott Drew's guys, again, they were eating pizza on the tarmac last night in Oklahoma City about 9 o'clock. Nothing has gone well up until tip. And Kenny Cherry's out of the ballgame. But today, turnovers, steals, they've given themselves a chance.
Maybe a little circle the wagons moment last night with all the problems they had getting here.
It had to be.
Wainwright back in for Baylor, really for the first time in this half. Nash against Austin. Smart tries again from the outside, still has not hit from there. Brown rejected but fouled by Jefferson.
Dave, you won't find a more talented team outside the top 25 than the Baylor Bears. Top 25 talent, size, and depth. Like I said in the first half, they have times played as a top 300 team in terms of energy and heart, desire, and togetherness. So far today, they have shot up the charts in those areas as well.
Brown's first free throw is too strong. I think one of the interesting things about Baylor, if you spend any time around the Bears, they're likable kids. They like each other.
Yeah.
There's not a chemistry problem per se on this Baylor team.
It's been kind of hard to put your thumb on it last night. Talking to Scott Drew, I'm not even sure he had a real feel for why they've been starting off 1-6. I know this: Oklahoma State's not playing a great brand of basketball. They've lost 2 out of their last 3, and if they don't get it going right now, it's going to be 3 out of their last 4.
Yep, Baylor's got a chance to steal one here on the road. 2 more missed free throws for the Cowboys. Heslop trying to hit O'Neal. Forte hustled over to knock the ball out of bounds.
The more Baylor tries to feed the post, the better post passing team they're going to become. They haven't done it enough this year, therefore they're not great at just getting the ball to the low block.
Off the inbound play, Heslip catches back from Jefferson, used a little screen, but missed the open look. Here come the Cowboys on the move. Nash fouled in transition by Wainwright.
Good foul by Wainwright, not to allow the shooter to get their arms up and get the ball up on the rim.
Sixth team foul against Baylor. Oklahoma State, better than almost anybody in the country, gets themselves to the free throw line. Second foul against Wainwright. Nash has been quieter in this second half. Just still early in this day of college hoops. Kansas, Texas follows us at 4 Eastern. Duke, Syracuse, I think the headliner from the Carrier Dome at 6:30. Good one out west. San Diego State, top 5 team, the Aztecs.
Their only loss is to Arizona back in November. I'm hearing that Wichita State is in trouble right now over on ESPNU. And they got to pull themselves out of, because back on New Year's Day, that was my bold prediction that Wichita State would be unbeaten at the end of the regular season.
Third foul against Murphy. They showed a replay. The fans react to that unfavorably. First free throw from Isaiah Austin is good. The last 3 teams unbeaten in college hoops.
I want to tell you this. If Arizona wins tonight at Cal, a team that has been in a funk, but they have the bodies and the talent to hold up in that game, if they win that game, you watch the talk that now starts generating about Arizona possibly finishing the regular season unbeaten. Who in that league is a real threat to those guys?
They've already won at UCLA. They won the other night at Stanford. Cal, a good team in the Pac-12.
When do they go to Arizona State? I don't think they've been there yet. That could be because of the rivalry, and little Carson kid can cause you problems, but there will be conversation if Arizona wins that game.
Yeah, ASU's played a lot better. Brown, tough shot, good.
Rapids Ford goes to his full court pressure after the basket.
And here's where we get another test. Baylor without its point guard, Kenny Cherry. Wainwright brings it up. Big body on big body, and that's a foul against Marcus Smart.
Absolutely it is. And all Wainwright's doing is getting his hips and his shoulder into the defender coming up the sidelines. Nothing fast, just a pure power dribble that time. That was power on power. And Wainwright won the battle.
And we'll remember that one. That is the third foul against Marcus Smart. He's got to be careful. Still 8 minutes to go. He's been in foul trouble lately, Marcus Smart.
I think he fouled out last Saturday. I believe he had 4 fouls in that game at Oklahoma on Monday night.
O'Neal with the dribble still going.
O'Neal scares me with the ball right now.
Yeah. Gets it back. A little runner way off the mark. Rebound Cowboys. 5-point game. Markel Brown has played well. So is this guy, LeBrian Nash. I don't know if that was an accidental pass or what, but Murphy benefits. Timeout here in Stillwater. Good one in the Big 12. Baylor up by 5.
We broke out the jet Thursday night in the studio. That dude rolled out with brand new leather seats, fresh carpeting. The first class seats recline all the way down like the big boy planes that go to Maui. That thing was sparkling when we rolled it out. And Wichita State on Thursday night, you know where they were sitting? In first class with Syracuse, Arizona, and Kansas. You know some teams that weren't on the plane? Some teams that better have some February urgency about them. They were on standby. Some of them were stuck in security. Some of them were circling, trying to find a place to park out front. And they better get to work.
Sounds familiar for Baylor.
Baylor, to start this game today, they were circling the airport parking lot, just trying to find a place to park. And right now they have found a place to park. Arkansas has suspended 2 guys for today's game indefinitely. Cal with a huge opportunity tonight. And SMU is putting it on Memphis right now. Those teams are going to work their way through security and be in the standby line with a win today.
Yeah, it's one thing to start winning games. It's another thing to come up with quality wins like this one would be for Baylor. like that one would be for SMU.
And SMU handing it to Memphis.
Terrible pass from Heslop. Smart was fouled hard by Gathers, and they're going to call that a foul and an intentional one. Smart hit the deck hard. Gathers can't believe it. I mean, he swiped at the ball.
He went at the ball, but I think the contact was excessive and severe is how they saw it. I just think, I mean, he can't foul soft. He's 6'8" and 270 pounds. He's got his eyes on, I don't agree with the call.
Yeah.
Now, Cowboy fans are going to probably light us up, but he was making a hard play on the ball. I think the officials, the live action when you see it, it looked like excessive contact, hard excessive contact. If I'm Scott Drew, I say go look at the monitor, because you can now look at the monitor. The call was made on the floor. So when they go to the monitor, they have some options. It can't be no foul, unless it was an elbow swung, and then they could say, you know what, we missed it and it's no foul. But they made the call on the floor. It's either going to be viewed as a personal one or a flagrant one, but I think they will look at it, and this will be an interesting decision.
Well, the officials are allowed, if you call a foul, you can review it. You can then designate it as any one of those types of fouls. Flagrant 1, flagrant 2, common foul. They're not going to waive off the foul. There was definitely a foul there.
If no foul was called, then you can't come to the monitor and see a foul and then call it as in the personal variety. But the guy is 6'8" and 270 pounds. He has his eyes on the ball. I think they're going to stay with a flagrant 1. Oh, boy, that could go either way. If I'm an official right now, it's a hard call to make, excessive and or unnecessary. It wasn't unnecessary. I thought it was a legitimate play on the ball.
Now the officials are going to give us that official explanation here. We'll take one last look at it.
Well, I think they call it flagrant 1 because to the live eye, it looked excessive. You go back and watch the replay, though, his eyes were locked in on the ball. He was making a legitimate attempt to play the ball, but because he's you know why it's an F1? He's 6'8" and 270 pounds, and he can't foul soft.
Well, there was no way that Rico Gathers was going to hurt Marcus Smart. He went for the ball, and he did foul Smart, but I'm with you. That's a break for the Cowboys. Smart, I mean, he bore the brunt of that. There's no question his hand is hurting. That did not feel good, and that's not what we're saying. It was a hard foul for sure.
Well, what I said is right. I'm not saying I agree with the call, but it wasn't that he wasn't making a play on the ball. It was excessive contact, an overly aggressive and overly hard foul committed by Gathers.
My counter argument would be it's Marcus Smart. If you go and just try to gently swipe the ball away, he's just going to take up 3 and score.
If I'm Scott Drew, I'm sure he said something very similar. This could be a big turn in this ball game, though.
And here's the benefit. He made the free throws, but now they get the extra possession.
Sure. Watch out.
That's some mark elevation. Tie game.
Scott Drew has 4 timeouts, or Brady Heslop wide open from 3. Whichever one you want right now would be a good decision.
What a shot from Brady Heslop. End of the 7-0 run that was punctuated by that big dunk by Brown. Nash into the lane, scores.
But Brian Nash continues to use his quickness off of 1 or 2 bounces to get himself to the front of the rim. And will Scott Drew go for a timeout again? When you look at these 6:14, the 4-minute timeout is a ways away.
He's got the 4 left.
Now, I would take one. I would definitely take one. They were very well done. They were unorganized. The building was hot and loud, and they just didn't have anything going on. Mark Elevation takes off. The back screen set by Nash is well done. Put the defenders in a crowd, and then Brady Heslop gets loose. and it's too late. When he catches it and you're 10 feet off, it is too late. And a little bit of a signal to this Gallagher-Iba crowd, and Nash turns the corner with quickness and gets to the rim. A critical timeout and a crucial timeout call by Scott Drew.
Well, it's gotten much louder. The intensity has ratcheted up. We've been saying it all afternoon. The most important 40 minutes of Baylor's season. The most important 20 minutes, 10 minutes. Narrow it down. 6 minutes. Baylor desperate to have a signature win. They're 1-6 in conference play. For that matter, the Cowboys still eyeing a top seed, still hoping for a chance in the Big 12 Conference, even though Kansas is undefeated in league play. This is a big game for the Cowboys as well.
The most important 6 minutes and 2 seconds left in Baylor's season, because that 2 seconds could be critical in a game like this.
Feels like it's coming down to the end.
Yes, it does. The Big 12 with the most RPI top teams in the top 16 with 4. 7 of their teams are in the top 55. Wham!
Corey Jefferson with the lob. And after the basket, there was a whistle. And I think they called a foul. Count the basket plus a free throw. My goodness.
I have not seen better use of a timeout all season long than what Scott Drew just did. Watch it roll. The same play that Oklahoma State got on Baylor. Baylor now turns around and says, we see and we'll raise you one. You take the timeout, the building is exploding, you set your guys down, you gather your information from your assistant coaches, and you say, let's go to this pressure release play. Wham! At the rim. Well done by Scott Drew and his guys.
And is Jefferson a spectacular athlete or what? That's also the 4th foul against Kamari Murphy. So Murphy, who is their post depth these days, he's on the bench with 4.
This brings more reason why Baylor needs to keep hammering away inside, you know?
Round 3, got another one.
Can't leave him open, man. He snaps it off really well. He's been struggling shooting the ball in Big 12 play, but it looks good every time it comes off of his wrist.
Smart came to trap Franklin, but he got rid of it.
Now, Franklin needs to stay confident as a handler right now. He's been too good in this game to run away from the moment. Not this cat. There you go.
All that pressure, though. Clock under 15. Jefferson from outside. Ball tipped up. Nash rips it away.
Had an opportunity to throw it inside the Gathers, and they turned him down.
Brown passed up the jumper, and Baylor got organized on D. Smart, no look into the corner. Forte still hasn't made one from the outside.
I think he's challenged by the size that Baylor is running at him with. His eyes are picking up the defense instead of staying locked in on the rim.
He's guarding Franklin here. 1-point game, 4.5 to go in Stillwater.
Gathers or Hessler, right? 1A and 1B. Here's 1A.
They got it to Gathers. Partially deflected.
He doesn't need to shoot any shots fading away from the rim.
Smart blocking foul on Gary Franklin.
Well, in the open floor, Marcus Smart is a freight train. Well, that's another 50-50 call in this game that you can make a case going either way. That's not an upward motion play. That's only for airborne passers or shooters. That same rule is in effect as it's always been. If that defender has established legal guarding position and he's set, then the emphasis is on the offensive player not initiating the contact.
And they did not call it a shooting foul, but he's at the line for 1-and-1. So he did heave it up. You saw at the end of that replay, trying to get 2 shots or 3. Made the first. There's Kenny Cherry, the point guard for Baylor. Did not start for the first time all year. He's got a toe problem, an ankle injury, and he's not playing today. And the Bears, even without their point guard, tied with 4:16 to go. Got him. Marcus Smart puts the Cowboys in front by 1.
Doing what they do, Oklahoma State. They get fouled, and they get fouled at key times in a game. Heslett being guarded by Clark. a smaller guy that better stay attached the entire time on this possession. That's a trip.
Forte, and he's hurting. Phil Forte, the guy who tripped up Gary Franklin, is in a lot of pain. His ankle might have turned.
I don't know if he stepped on the ground.
Sends us to a timeout. Oklahoma State had not been up in a long while. They lead by 1.
OSU Coaches versus Cancer campaign switch day today.
All right, thanks. 1-point lead for Oklahoma State. Forte, who limped off the court after turning his ankle, is back in the game, and he definitely turned the ankle, but he's trying to get it out these last 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Scott Drew was outstanding the last time out of the timeout. His guys executed with a lob play. And what special set does he go to? Where does he want the ball right now? I would say inside.
Gathers, gets the touch inside. That double team got the ball out of his hands. Here's Franklin, hits a three.
A great decision by O'Neal, because as soon as he got it, he knew, I'm not on today. And get the ball to a shooter. And Franklin kind of had to shoot a bad pass, but he still made it. The ball was below his belt level when he caught it.
2-point lead for Baylor. Smart. Rebound, tracked down by Corey Jefferson.
Marcus Smart, the ball hits hard when he shoots it. He's now 3 out of 13 from the field in this game. Now, I do firmly believe he's the best winner that we have in college ball. I'm not sold on the fact that he's the best point guard. He's going to be a terrific pro for somebody because the guy knows how to ball and knows how to lead. But there are areas in his game that he has to get better in the eyes of NBA scouts.
Shot clock winding down here for the Bears. Down to 8. Down to 5. Franklin into the lane, and he threw the ball away. Brown leads it for Clark. Stevie Clark got fouled.
One of the few bad decisions by Franklin in this game. Again, this is where Baylor could really use Kenny Cherry on the floor. He drove it right through the nail to the teeth of the defense and then tried to throw a pass through a long defender. Determination by Stevie Clark to at least get himself to the free throw line.
And even if you just heave a shot up with the shot clock winding down, you give yourself a chance to score. That turnover just is an outlet pass for the fast break. Markel Brown made a good defensive play there. 21 points, couple rebounds, an assist, and 3 steals.
Dave, your point is good for Baylor on the other end. At least get a shot up. You're the best offensive rebound percentage team in the Big 12. It's been a big part of your offense today. Baylor was 7-8 offensive rebounds, and they've converted on a high percentage of them. They cannot have turnovers.
Another big game of the Big 12 follows us. Kansas on the road against a much improved Texas team. Irwin Center sold out. It'll be rocking. But first things first, the final 2:15 here.
And Scott Drew still has 3 timeouts. It's a short clock. What will they go to?
Franklin tried to use that screen. Instead, a 3 is good for Gary Franklin.
How about Gary Franklin to turn it over the last possession and then come down? He did not feel the pressure of the shot clock. And a lot of times that will affect your release. Franklin did a good job of rhythm dribbling and getting a bounce into his shot, therefore great elevation to make a guarded 3-point shot.
Such a big basket for Baylor.
Watch what Franklin does here, Dave. With the shot clock winding down, he's going to rhythm dribble and step back and get both feet underneath him, which allows him to have a little extra elevation and pop over LeBron Nash. That was a huge basket by Gary Franklin.
Now that was the one from just a moment ago. He had 2 points in the game. Not to say he hadn't played well. He'd done a lot of things well for Baylor, but he'd scored just 2 points until a couple minutes ago. And those 2 threes, huge buckets for Baylor.
This is like New Year's Eve, watching the ball get ready to drop. We're now down to the last 2 minutes and 2 seconds in terms of the most important stretch in Baylor's season so far.
Yeah, the countdown clock has been on. I mean, this is a team that is 1-6 in Big 12 play. Now, if they played the way they played here today,
yes,
for the season, they wouldn't be 1-6.
Not at all. They have a chance to save their season right now. Kansas comes into Waco on Tuesday. I will be there. And then they go to Oklahoma next Saturday. This is the stretch for Baylor right now to save their season.
Nash with the left hand. What a move, LeBron Nash.
That's been the pressure release for Travis Ford in this game. LeBron Nash at the 15-foot mark, letting him make plays.
Under 2 to go and a 2-point game. Nash with 19.
Baylor's been so good out of timeout. Scott Drew has 3, and if he doesn't like what he sees, he'll use another one. Cannot have an empty, wasted possession right now in Gallagher-Iba.
You have Murphy on the bench with foul trouble. Nash is the biggest defender out there. Baylor not getting the ball inside. Franklin way up top. Heslip almost got it to go. And the offensive rebound for the Bears.
That's, to your point, is why it's so important to get a shot up right now in this game if you're Baylor.
Again, Baylor has the 3 timeouts if they want to use one.
I would take one now if I'm Scott Drew, because he's been so good coming out of it.
Instead, they're sort of isolating for Franklin here. Gathers, sets the screen. Franklin 3. Got another one!
Franklin says, I got your timeout right here. Well done.
O'Neal jumps into the passing lane and steals it away with the finish.
A desperate team in February is a dangerous team. We said it almost 2 hours ago when Baylor came off the bus in desperation mode. Maybe a season-changing 3-point shot and steal Baylor has just thrown at Oklahoma State. The 3 by, how good has this guy been? Without Kenny Cherry on the floor, he's logged major minutes. He hasn't turned it over except maybe 2 times, and he has stuck daggers in the heart of Oklahoma State in the last minute. My guy that I've worried about all game long, O'Neal, comes up with a huge play. And can Scott Drew and his Baylor Bears hold on? Nothing has gone their way since they left Waco yesterday. Stranded in Oklahoma City last night for about 2 hours on the tarmac eating pizza, waiting for the bus to come pick them up. Their bus this morning coming to shoot around broke down into emergency mode and would only go 5 miles per hour. But he circled those guys up and went to a reference in the Bible with Gideon and said that when the pressure got tough, when things got hard, he rose to the occasion and fought harder. Can Baylor do it right now with 37 seconds left in the building?
Oklahoma State, meanwhile, 37 seconds left, down by 7. You got to go very quickly, and you need points in a hurry.
And this is typically when Marcus Smart will just try to bully you and get in the lane and go.
That's what he's trying to do. He gives it off to Nash. Baseline, had a great look. Franklin fouled. Gary Franklin down the stretch has been the hero for the Bears without Kenny Cherry. He has just been tremendous. And the junior point guard watching his teammates step it up big time. 27 seconds away from a big time win.
Now you have to get it in with Baylor not in the bonus yet. Puts the pressure on you to inbound this basketball. And at the very worst, you throw the ball towards your basket and don't not allow a steal and a quick 2.
Franklin catches O'Neal, and now they foul O'Neal.
Gary Franklin gets the starting assignment today because Kenny Cherry's out with a bum toe and a bum ankle. And he has been in complete control with great poise, especially late. The building got hot 5 or 6 minutes ago, and Gary Franklin controlled this basketball team, had 1 bad turnover, but with shot clock winding down and having no feeling at all for shot clock pressure, bam, bam, and bam.
Well, you're right about that. Oklahoma State took the lead 64-63. It's been 11-3 Baylor since then. O'Neal misses the free throw, so maybe not over yet. Clark in transition. Rebound, Cowboys. They need 3, and they need them right now. Markel Brown hits a 3. So maybe not over. 10.8 seconds to go. 74-70. Let's check in and back to the studio with Max. All right, thanks, Max. So Kansas, Texas will be a huge win. Just a great day of college basketball. The calendars turn to February. The conference season's starting to come down the home stretch. And the Jayhawks undefeated in Big 12 play, but the Longhorns have been really good in conference play. They're going to give Kansas a real test.
Well, they better, because Joel Embiid is the most impeccable freshman that we have right now in college basketball. And you look at this game for Baylor, they came in a 64% free throw shooting ball club. They're going to have to make free throws right now with 10.8 to go. Get the ball in to your best free throw shooter, cover it up, and then go down and close it out from the free throw line. Can they do it?
Season of surprise in the Big 12 continues. West Virginia has played well. They beat Baylor on Tuesday. They almost beat the Cowboys here in Stillwater on Saturday. Now they beat Kansas State today. West Virginia's 5-4. Oklahoma's been a surprise team. Texas certainly has been. Baylor's been a surprise in the wrong direction, looking for a huge win. It has never been easy for the Bears in this building.
You would think Brady Heslop, as well as he shoots threes, would be your guy. He's a 50% free throw shooter in conference play. Franklin will probably be option one if he can get open.
They get it into Heslop. He's fouled immediately by Forte. Forte, I think, is still feeling the effects of that ankle problem. It's been a tough day for Phil Forte, and not to put it all on him. He's a role player with this Cowboys team. But Heslop and Forte are so similar in their games, and Brady Heslop has been a star for the Bears. Forte has not scored for Oklahoma State.
What I like about fouling Heslop and making him earn it right now, he doesn't shoot free throws. He's only taken 8 so far in conference play. He's a designated three-point shooter. This shot is almost too close for him to have a high confidence level. Or not.
Very calm, very cool. As soon as we're done, we will take you to Austin for Kansas, Texas. ESPN 3. That game has just now started, so if you're desperate for the beginning of that game, ESPN 3 has it, and as soon as we're done here, we'll get you to the Earl Center.
You just don't foul right now if you're Baylor. Don't even get close enough.
Smart tried to draw a foul, couldn't do it. Baylor will save it in bounds. No. 2.9 seconds to go. Oklahoma State gets it back, but down 6. And Scott Drew says, don't foul. Let's get out of here with a win. How satisfying is this going to be for Baylor? Heslop steals away a fitting end. The Baylors steal a win on the road against top 10 Oklahoma State, and maybe Scott Drew and company have saved their season today.
We may have just seen a season-changing moment for Baylor. They have Kansas coming in on Tuesday. Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears, they still have a fighter's chance.
Final score, 76-70. Baylor gets the big win. For Jimmy Dykes, Dave Fleming saying so long. Now we'll go to John Shambi, Fran Fraschilla in Austin.